What up, guys and girls? Another brand new video coming at you today. We are back for some more Spec F1 Esports Elite Series highlights. First off, we'll be taking you, obviously shortly we'll take you to the United States for the highlights for round 16. But first off, we'll take you a couple of rounds before that to round 4, no, actually take that back, round 13. I was going to say 14 for a moment there, but yeah, round 13 around Singapore, which, I mean, it was, you know, not the greatest of weekends, let's be honest. As you can tell, I actually set a lap time on the soft compounder tyres. Big error, because you'll probably see why, because obviously I spun on my first flyer on the medium compounder tyres. This was my second flyer here on the mediums. Probably just taking a little bit too much curb and getting on the power a little bit too early there. And, well, I had to pretty much abort my lap time here. And I think basically majority of these guys, well, I say majority of these guys are going to be starting on the medium compounder tyres. We go purple through sector 1 and then invalidate coming through turn 6. So this was not looking great, I must say. And so I gave it one more crack, considering I haven't got much fuel left up my sleeve. And I invalidated. And, well, personally, I didn't have enough fuel up my sleeve. I probably should have fueled up the car a little bit more than what I had time anyway. But yeah, that was my big error. Yeah, actually qualifying on the soft compounder tyres, which yeah, I was not happy. Let's be honest.
Unlucky Roscoe.
Yeah.
Yep, I just realised.
As you can tell, that is basically myself and two others that are basically on the soft compounder tyres, being Harry Tomato and ACSC. But 5 red lights around here. Majority of the others are on mediums or hards around here. Away we go around the streets of Singapore. So my strategy is going to be absolutely screwed here. Into turn 1 we go. A little bit wide here just to make sure we don't get any carnage. Thankfully there wasn't. There's only 12 runners for this round, which is again a little bit disappointing, to be honest. So we're going side by side here with contrast, making sure we give them enough room there. And then just trying to get the full on the power there down this Raffles Boulevard here through turn, actually it's into turn 7. Actually I said 6 earlier, this is turn 7. I'm looking at my map for the next round. Go give me heaps in the comments, please. A little bit of contact, and then get a little bit sideways. Thankfully, I managed to avoid all of that. I don't know how I did. And now side by side we go with Plebs, who's on the hard compounder tyres. Tried everything to keep in front of him for the time being, but it's pretty much no use, and we just have to let him go here. So that's pretty much where it went downhill then after that. So not much happened. Lap 6 it took till we actually finally pitted, as we literally gave it everything we could to the pit lane. We followed in Harry Tomato as well as ACSC, who's going on to the hard compounder tyres, so he might be trying to go to the end.
That's why ACS was doing the long
potentially.
The hard
well, he actually, to be fair, he was going long there. So,
yeah.
And Harry Tomato is also on the medium compounder tyres. So,
what are you going to do, Roscoe?
May as well try something. I'm doing a 2-stop.
It's just it was just players asking what the hell I'm doing basically in terms of strategy wise, because I'm basically well, I'm out on my own. Well, I wouldn't say out on my own, but it's just going to be made a little bit harder now. We set the fastest lap of the race. I mean, it was something for that one. As we're cut a couple of laps later to lap 10, we were trying to put a bit of pressure on Harry Tomato here, but then he goes for just a weird spin there. So looking back on it, I don't actually know whether that was whether he's actually spun by himself or whether I may have had a lag or desync contact with him or not, but probably more looked like lag desync contact. So apologies, Harry Tomato, for that one, if that was my error there, but it was out of my control really, and I was nowhere near you. But we got by ACSC obviously because he's on the hard compounder tyres, and well, they'd probably be struggling a little bit earlier on, but then as we kind of be laps later, lap 13, that's Alex Pato.
I already had with wing damage, but
yeah, he's
made it worse.
It was turn 18, and now obviously, like he said, he's already got wing damage, and now he's made it worse. So
DRS.
It's no problem.
I thanked him for the DRS, so that worked out pretty well there from that one. So thank you, Alex. It's lap 18 as we nearly lose the back end coming out of there. We're coming out a bit of a pressure from A Star Is Born, who's obviously well, pretty much going to the end here. Obviously, we'll have to make another pit stop, and I knew this was going to be the case when everybody else would come in for their pit stops. You can see Plevs is right all over the rear end as I go.
Go, Matt.
Up the hairpin.
Thanks, mate.
He's made it pretty simple there. Wasn't really going to fight, really, because he's on a complete different strategy, and, well, he's fighting completely different people around this race anyway. So, anyway, cut to lap 22, where you come in for another set of medium competitor tyres. Wasn't confident of going to the soft competitor tyres, but we'll have to wait and see. We're currently pretty much in position 8. Not much really happened after that, really. We were sort of, I don't know, I'll get my words right, slowly but surely being caught by ACSC, and I mean, if that was the case, then I'd pretty much have to, well come in and basically, I couldn't really do much else there. So it felt like if he caught me towards the back end, obviously I would have to, I may as well go into the softs and try go for a fastest lap of the race to get something. I mean, because there's only 10 runners left. Alex did DNF as well later on. We had a fair gap ahead of Harry Tomato as well, but we crossed the line and it's P9 there for us. We set our personal best, but it wasn't the fastest lap overall there in the end. So yeah, it wasn't really a great and entertaining Singapore GP, so I thought I'd pretty much skip over that. If you want to go watch the full race point of view of that, you can. It's on my channel. Go check that out. But it was ACW that won yet again over Isaac Kush on, I think he's pretty much his home circuit. Ignore that flag that he's got there. He's actually Singaporean. And then Plevs ran it at the podium in position 3. And he would have seen the rest of the results there, who finished where and whatnot. So, we finally now get to round 16 in the United States. Had to miss the next 2 rounds, which were, what were the next 2 rounds? Russia and Japan. That was basically for work purposes as well. So again, I apologise. It was out of my hands sometimes. But the gap was now 47 points, I think, from memory, in the Drivers' Championship. Williams have a 33-point margin in the Constructors' Championship over Mercedes. There's the overall results. So it's ACW ahead of Isaac Kush and Plevs in contrast. So, and then ACSC, who he did not turn up for Japan, and I don't believe he's racing for this one. Not much is happening in the license points, but the driver of the day has finally been updated. It took a fair while between Great Britain and the Japanese Grand Prix. I think someone actually mentioned it to Plevs, actually, to say that the driver of the day has not been updated for a while, but finally he did update it. So thank you, Matt, for updating those ones. But here we go for the United States Grand Prix, and coming into this one, I was actually looking confident, to say the least. Actually, first things first, you haven't seen the previous video, which was, what was the previous video? The Italian Grand Prix, and I urge you to go check that out, because it certainly was an entertaining up and down race, to say the least. But yeah, going into this one, I was actually looking fairly comfortable going to this, and I mean, I rarely say that a lot about the United States, let's be honest, but considering, if you have not seen my Pacific race video from the same round, pretty much, so I actually had a fairly decent round. Well, not so much qualifying, but race-wise, I actually had fairly decent pace, and I actually, well, would have won the race on track had it not been for the time penalties I got during that race, which I think I got like 12 seconds worth of penalties. So I was actually looking pretty confident of a decent result around United States. So you see the first run there, I mean, we validated that lap time anyway. So I finished the lap, this was a 31.8 there, just to sort of give us ourselves a little bit of a time to set, well, when I say a time, maybe sort of a little bit of a delta time, you could say. But anyway, we're just about to head off now for our second run here, which we're going to go under medium competitor tyres. Now, this was sort of the pretty similar to what I did in Pacific as well. If I was going to obviously set a lap time on the medium competitor tyres, and if I bugger up my lap on the soft competitor tyres, then this would probably be the tyre, just as like a backup sort of thing to start on. And well, maybe if I started outside the top 10, would actually help me as well. So let's see what we can do around here on the medium competitor tyres here. So up the front straight we go, up the hill into turn 1. Spread the thing over there on the top right of your screen. Now out of turn 1 there. I actually followed the similar sort of thing with the, well, with the race pace, obviously I changed the wings. Again, I'm using Amazing Hour setup for this round, but of course, I did change the wings for the race, and it actually sort of worked out a lot better than I was anticipating. So I've actually changed pretty much do the similar wings of what I use in the race to qualifying for this one, just to see whether it actually improved my pace at all. See whether I could potentially match it with these guys. We'll wait and see as we get a little bit sideways here. Turn 11 is sort of a bit of a back, not the greatest of corners of mine because, yeah, I don't know, I just seem to lose the car. This is qualifying-wise. Race-wise is not too bad, actually, but here we go down into turn 12. A little bit of a lock-up there. Missed the apex just a tiny bit, not by much. I probably should have ran over it, actually. We've got some traffic in front of us here with a Mercedes something as well. You probably hear it in the background there. That was Plebs just letting us know that Contrast is actually, well, he's making a transition from obviously the pad to the wheel. Obviously, he's been using a Thrustmaster wheel, but now, because of the, I think it was the Black Friday sales, he actually got a Fanatec wheel. So good on him. He's making the move up into the Fanatec world. So we cross the line there. It's not the fastest, let's be honest. It's P8. Yeah, we're in with a 32.0 there, so yeah, it was a bit slower than the soft tyre, which I mean it was to be expected. As we'll cue this for a second.
Would help if I unmute myself, wouldn't it? Fucking hell, I'm an idiot.
I mean, just to clarify, I was in the party chat with these fellas actually at the start of qualifying, but I accidentally muted myself during that part. So when I thought I was actually chatting with these guys, I wasn't. It wasn't actually till ACW pointed out whether I was actually still in the party or not. And then I had to look at my PS4 controller, and then I realised I was actually still on mute. So, yeah, you're welcome. You had to listen to 15 minutes of me silence there, lads, in the party. So, which was basically, in this one, it was both the usual ones. In this one, it's both the Williams teammates, G4 Australia and ACW. Plebs is here as well. And I think Alex Pazzo, joined during qualifying as well. So, yeah, there he is. So there he is in the last position on the grid. He joined, I think, during qualifying. So, and I think he joins the party during qualifying as well. So
he's actually pushing.
I think he was a little bit late on that one. So, but here we go for our final run here on the soft compound tyres. As everybody seems to be retiring. They seem to be setting their lap times earlier. But I was just waiting, you know, till the pretty much, well, sort of till the last few moments, you could say. We've got about a minute left up our sleeve here, so let's see whether we can improve on our soft compound tyre run. And well, if we can, let's see how far up the grid we can go. We're currently in P10, so we're just about on the drop zone here. So if we get one more person, if I bugger up this lap, of course, then if we get one more person to out-qualify me, then I'll start on fresh mediums for the start of this race. We fly it through, literally using the rev limiter through here as we set the fastest first sector there. Again, I don't know whether that's a glitch or not, or whether that was actual true pace. Running out very wide. Actually surprising I didn't actually get my lap time invalidated there, because that would probably deserve to be invalidated, let's be honest. So, and now coming out of here, that's a much, much better exit coming out of turn 11. So compared to the run on the medium compounded tyres. So about 0.3 of a second quicker at my sector 1. Probably, again, it's probably not going to be the quickest overall, let's be honest. I think it's basically between probably ACW and Plebs, and probably Kush if he's in here as well. But we go green in sector 2, about 7, not quite 0.8 of a second quicker. Now through this tricky section here at turn 15. Probably, I think we nailed that apex there much better than what we did on the medium tyre run. So you can probably tell the difference. This is on the medium tyre run to the soft tyre run here, of course. And now flying through the final, which okay, the penultimate corner. I actually invalidated maybe just a tiny bit, and well, the lap time would have probably been gone anyway if I had come around the final corner. I did that anyway, but it was 1.2 seconds quicker. It probably would have been a lot more quicker it was anyway, but it's it was a 1:30.794, which would have put me in around P7, I think, from memory. But in the end, it's actually P10. So we don't, unfortunately, get ourselves knocked out of qualifying. We would have probably was started on the fresh compactor tyres anyway if we had. But anyway, I think I only set the 1 lap on the medium compactor tyres. So I mean, it's not overly too bad anyway. But it was Isaac Kush that set pole position there with a 29.414. So he's very quick here at the moment. He needs to be, considering how close it is in the championship, getting into the nitty-gritty of this race. So obviously, like I mentioned before, I'm pretty much doing the similar strat to what I did in the Pacific tier, in the Pacific race that I did, but basically doing the opposite. Basically, so
Top 10 anyway, so they can
softs to mediums, pretty much didn't work for me. So I thought, you know what, let's give it a crack doing the opposite way now. So as I think the hards are basically bucks. Alex has been disqualified. I don't think he actually moved, and I think it's sort of...
Alex, you're going to get disqualified.
You got disqualified from...
He's already been disqualified.
I think we were, a few of us were, well, I'll say a few of us, I think Dre and players were yelling at Alex to see whether he was alive in the party chat, but I think he was in the end. I can't actually remember, but ACW and Chain Game Wow have actually both been disqualified under formation. I think there might have been a slight little touch there from Chain Game Wow, and well, it's not going to be ideal considering where it was. I think it was around 10, 14, 15. So it's probably going to have a little bit of cold tyres for the start of this race anyway. So
fuck, I want to start on medium.
So Alex has literally joined us late in the party. So here we go for the United States. 5 red lights. Let's do it around Circuit the Americas in Texas. And it's a decent start. It probably won't be the quickest start compared to everybody else on the softs, of course. But we're just taking it nice and cautiously here. Pretty much right in the middle here. That's G4 Server, who's actually back racing as well. Great to see him back aboard, well, racing again. He's been away for a little bit. Can't actually remember why, whether it's actually because of wheel issues or what. But as we get side by side with a little bit of contact there with contrast, that was probably not my ideal way of doing it, but we had to let him go there in the end. He started on the softs. As there goes a car around the Charu and another car. I think that's A Star Is Born. There's a car way off the road there. I think that was Alex Pato. We had a little bit of contact there with contrast there. And I felt pretty bad, and you'll probably hear his reaction a little bit later on when we get to their point of views there. But I felt it fair to just pretty much just let him go there, because I did not want to feel like giving an unfair advantage there. Off the start there. I think it was Alex Pato that was the other car that was way off the road there, and I think it was ghosted as well for me. So again, the ghosting probably can be a little bit weird because obviously different. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there with the G4 Stray. Alex is having a lot of fun there, losing the back end by the looks of things
because I was about to
through the corners. So it's Dre. I think he just outbroke himself there through turn 12. Of course, he's on the hard compounder tyres. So. And I mean, Dre probably, to be fair, he said it in the Pacific race as well. I don't think America is one of his favourite races. So, and he didn't really have a lot of pace, if I'm completely honest. Sorry, Dre, if you don't agree, but didn't really have a lot of pace around the United States in the Pacific race, and probably not going to be having a lot of pace in this race unless something major happens here in this one. But I think the other Haas there possibly is A Star Is Born. His gamer tag wasn't showing up for me. I don't know why. That was there, but you see, obviously, we're just slowly but surely making some ground. We're at position 10. Obviously, we're not going to be quick on these medium compounder tyres. It'll obviously take a little bit of time to get used to. These tyres will eventually get to us as the virtual safety car has been deployed. I think that was for A Star Is Born, who's crashed in the, sort of the S section there, I think.
Is it working for softs already? Or no?
There's ACW asking the question whether it's worth pitting, but I'd be real doubtful. I think you really want to be avoiding the hard compounder tyres unless you actually have pace around here, considering the VSC actually didn't really last too long here. So I'm obviously trying to keep within the Delta time as we go back racing again. We're trying to close into Alex Pato in front of us here. G4 Servers not far ahead of us as well in the racing point. He's already got a 3-second time penalty as well. We've got Charu not too far behind us either in the McLaren, so he might put us under a little bit of pressure here as we run just a little bit wide here. Probably just outbroke myself. There's a little bit sideways there. I don't think there was any contact there. I think I may have just done that by myself. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but Charu does get ahead of us here. But we're now just settling in behind him here, see if we can just tag him behind, and obviously we will get the DRS from him here. So And again, we will get, obviously he's trying to break the slipstream here. He's done his only one defending move. But luckily there wasn't anything silly from him there, so thankful for that. But again, we were down a little bit in numbers. I think we had 13 once again, so I don't know what it is. Probably just everyone not really enjoying this game later on in the don't know what is it, the game cycle or what? I don't actually know, but yeah, a little bit down there again. But we're just literally just trying to pull in to Sharu here, but yeah, not much really was happening at this moment of time. So you can see we're 5 laps in here. We're slowly but surely closing in on Sharu. Once again, you can see, obviously, the soft competitor tyres, we're starting to die off a little bit here. So you can see we're starting to set some green sector times here as well. So we're probably starting to get used to the medium competitor tyres. Of course, we can go long. I mean, the plan was definitely to go long. And remember, when in the Pacific race, we came in about lap 10, 11 for the softs. And obviously, we'd be doing the opposite strategy. So that'll probably take us to about lap 17, 18. We get a 3-second time penalty. That's our first one. So I don't think we've really learned too much from the Pacific race, because I've obviously got 12 seconds worth of penalties there. So we'll have to hopefully improve on that. Let's have a look at some replays from the start. He's on board with both the Merc boys. Plev's on the left and Contrast on the right. Now, of course, Plev started a little bit further back in the order because there was a little bit of contact there. I think that was might have been Harry Tomato there with Sharu, and couldn't tell who the other car was. Might have been a Star is Born. You can see all this chaos going in the foreground here. We might actually see what occurred here with Sharu. There's a little bit of contact there from behind. I think, yeah, Sharu, I think, goes for a really bold manoeuvre there on a Star is Born and doesn't work. Contrast is all over the shop. He's just trying to avoid cars every which way.
Hey!
There's my little bit of contact there.
The fuck?
As you can tell, he was not overly thrilled with that one, and I can totally understand it. So, again, that was not my intention at all.
What's this Red Bull doing?
Yeah, that was not my intention for that contact.
Sit your fucking ass down, mate.
Yes, I probably needed to. Anyway, I gave him the spot anyway, just to make it fair. So, hopefully there's no harm, no foul there, Contrast. But that was his move up the inside there of G4 Server. Have a think about it. But, of course, Server will get the much better drive, but you want to use his overtake mode here. Server will go to the inside line here. This is probably what I missed a little bit earlier on, so apologies about that. I've been too busy worrying about other stuff, but gets that move done. Nice and slow. Slows the car down beautifully up into position 7 now for Contrast. Meanwhile, this was going on a bit further up the road, so Harry Tomato's actually in a pretty decent position here in position 5 here. I think this is probably his highest position. I'm not actually 100% sure, but he's now lost that to P6. You go back to P6 as Players makes that move for position 5, so pretty simple there all around. As we head to lap 6 here, so we're still in the DRS here of Sharu, but we're not really making any inroads here. There's a bit of talk about what the ACW is going to do in terms of pit stop strategy. It's a bit unknown, really. Some people could do the 1-stop, some people could do the 2-stop, really. So it's a bit of an unknown, really. As KD, I think it's the first car into the pit lane. So and he's doing pretty well at the moment here at his home circuit. Of course, being the lone American, and he's doing it I think he's doing it very early in the morning as well. So fair play to KD for doing these races very early in the morning here. But you know, closing in here onto Sharu. This is probably the closest we've been to him for quite some time. It's taken a little bit of time, actually, but we go for a move up the inside here into turn 12. Go a little bit too deep there, actually, and Sharu makes that move back down the inside and back in front of us there. So we're going to have maybe a little bit of a fight on our hands until probably Sharu pits at this moment of time. Of course, we don't want to lose too much ground. A G4 Server up the road there as well to end the racing point. And so we'll fly round the right-hander here through turn 17, 18. Now through 19, running very, very wide. It's actually surprising I didn't get a track limits warning there, which is very surprising. But anyway, there's a few more cars. G4 Server's in. Race leader ACW is in, I think, from memory. And he'll just pop in behind us here. So we have a little think about it going down into turn 1. So Now ACW wasn't too far behind us here, so he'll probably have a lot of pace. I think he's doing the 2-stop from what I heard in the party chat, so he's going soft, medium by the looks of things. I think KD probably will be doing the same. But it won't be too far away before ACW will probably catch up to the back of us. Didn't realise it is till probably a little bit later in this, as he'll probably tell in a moment or two who's come through here. There he is.
Oh, shit, you're behind there. I didn't realise.
But well, let's see if we can actually try and get past Sharouz. We give him a little bit of a nudge. That was not intentional there. Unfortunately, I think it might have been the lag one as well, so I just pulled out of the throttle there just to make sure I didn't go like a bump and run sort of past here, but going to try and make a move up the inside as he moves very late, and I think he's in the wall. He's out of the Grand Prix. And that was very silly there, I think, from Sharu there, as ACW was obviously trying to get past here. Big time late. I was actually going to probably let him go there, but they actually brings out the virtual safety car in all of that, and with that, it's actually going to allow Isaac Kush to actually get a free pit stop under the virtual safety car. And I think ACW was actually racing him for position.
Sorry, ACW may have screwed your race now.
It's all good. That was his fault, not your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
What tires is Kush on?
There's I did apologise to ACW, obviously, because I felt like, obviously, well, I mean, there's nothing good I could do there, really. So, but the other guys are pretty much going to take a free pit stop because of this. So, yeah, I felt really bad for ACW there, considering he was, well, I'm not sure he was actually leading all up there, fighting for the lead anyway. So, but Kush now takes the into second place now on the mediums, and ACW obviously got by me now. So, but we'll have a look at this again on the replay. So, got the nudge. Obviously, I missed the nudge bit anyway. But as we slow it down here, you'll see. Obviously, I go for the move here, but then he just moves late, and then I think it was just a lag touch, to be honest, there. And I mean, that was nothing out of that was. I mean, that was probably silly anyway for the late move there. I probably would have sent that to the stewards anyway if that was probably a late move and he still was in this race. But I mean, it was out of my control there. I mean, apologies to Sharu, but that was pretty silly there, I think, from memory. But this is all the guys that are taking advantage of this pit stop. The virtual safety car. So we've got Chain Game Wow, Plebs, Harry Tomato. You probably have to wait a little bit longer, maybe potentially, because of Isaac Kush coming into the lane. There's KD going right round the outside because he's already pitted. So on I say fresh softs, so probably a couple lap off softs. But now leaves Contrast in the effective lead of this race, who's on the soft competitor tyres. Remember, he's on fresher softs, considering he started outside the 10 and doing something out of, well, different strategy, you could say. Wasn't really sure what his plan was. As there goes, I think that's Isaac Kush on the right-hand side. So he pretty much gets the effective race lead back. Again, I don't know what it is with Contrast, but he's somehow gamer tags don't really show up for him. I don't know. I think possibly. I think this has been related to like an internet issue. I don't actually know, but I mean, we all have different internet speeds. Let's be fair. I've got different speeds as well. That was ACW clearing Contrast as well. The majority of these guys are probably, I mean, yes, we race internationals, of course, but and they probably have their different internet speeds. It shouldn't be a factor, really, as that's KD getting past Chain Game Wow for position 3, I think, for the podium. Meanwhile, we're still doing our own thing anyway in P4s. We pick up our second time penalty of the race. So not looking too flash. I was hoping to ease off on the penalties a little bit for this one, but clearly I have not learned from the last race anyway. But see, we're slowly but surely closing in to Contrast in front here. There's Katie, I don't think is too far behind us either. We've got another track limits warning there as well. But now we're just obviously trying to close in on Contrast, who I think now is into the pit lane. So he's pretty much doing what I was doing on the Pacific Series. But now obviously KD is right up my rear end, not too far behind actually. And I think Contrast must be doing the mediums if that's the case. And yes, it is. So he's onto the medium. So pretty much doing a similar strategy to what I did earlier in the week sort of thing. But meanwhile, we've got our own battles to hold on here because we're now in P3, but we've still got a pit, obviously. And I think the other guys will probably have to pit as well if they're doing the 2-stop. Well, I think there's a couple of guys that'll be doing the 2-stop. I don't really think there's too many guys doing the one stop besides Contrast and probably me. But now we're under attack here from that racing point behind here of KD. He'll probably get this move done pretty simply, I would think. I'm not really going to argue it here down this this back straight here, sorry. And he makes it easy. I just brake a little bit earlier there, and he gets the move done. So that's effectively P3s. We get actually a much better run out of the corner, but doesn't really work out in the end there. So, well, I mean, it wasn't really going to matter too much there. So, but now Plebs is now right up our rear end as well. So it won't be too far away from me. He'll be getting past me as well. So obviously these are the guys that are closing in, obviously that have already pitted. And this is Plebs. He actually got the move done on Chain Game. Wow. So this is why we got the slipstream really helped him out there. So really nice move in the end. Gives him a nice little bit of breathing room there and gets the move done. So that was going on behind while that battle was going on between myself and KD. So very nice job there from Plebs. This is back to go to Contrast, battling for 9th and 10th. I think this is with G-Force Dre. Just ignore what the graphic says on his screen. I don't get it why it shows either wrong gamer tag names or no gamer tag names at all. I mean, I've raised this issue with Codemasters, but I think it's mainly down to the host issue or something. I don't actually know, to be honest. So that's yeah. Anyway, we'll move on from that. It's probably just a random thing for some people, unfortunately. So we'll keep within the DRS of KD, so that's important. So we'll manage to probably stay ahead of Plebs for the time being. Because I'm not sure where the hell I was going there, but probably he's going to have a look down the inside here into 12, but he's just pacing his time here for the time being. So we're just trying our absolute best to just keep in front for the time being, because it might be effectively for position. We get a little bit sideways, so the tyres are probably starting to feel the effect of tyre wear as well, considering it's lap 13 of this race. Considering these tyres are probably done 14 laps. And yeah, Plebs is really enjoying the dirty air behind me, you can probably tell. So he doesn't really want to be held up behind me too much longer, I would think. So I think he's going to be making the move down this front straight here. And like I said, I've lost DRS down to KD, so this should be a pretty easy move here for Plebs. I'm not really going to fight it too much here. So up the inside he goes here, and that's that move done. Now Chain Game Wow is on the back of me here, and I was hoping maybe to hold him behind me a little bit here, so Plebs could maybe pull away. Alex is retired from the Grand Prix, so he wasn't obviously having an enjoyable race even after joining in qualifying and starting from the rear. We still managed to get the DRS on the lap 14 here, about half race distance here on Plebs, so that should keep us ahead of Chain Game Wow potentially for the time being. We'll wait and see if he goes for a move down into turn 12. No, he's too far back, so we're just playing it nice and cautiously here, just doing our own thing, of course. You know, obviously we've still got a pit. We'll be under a heap of attack here from Chain Game Wow, and this is probably allowing these guys in front to just pull away a little bit as we get the tyre wear indicator, I think, for the first time in this race, as he goes for a brave move down the inside of the turn 16. Going to go side by side through here, but he's on the wrong side for this corner at turn 19, so he probably needs to pace himself a little bit here. No, he wants to try and get past me, but I think this front straight here is probably the more better opportunity to get the move done here. Any chance of the DRS straight here you take, and there he goes. I think he's probably learnt his lesson now, up the inside, and now he's got position 5 now, so that drops us now back into position 6. This, and now Harry Tomato will probably be not too far behind as well, although he's on the soft, so his tyre wear might be starting to die off as well. So have to wait and see whether he can catch us before we pit here. So
got 3 second time penalty, yeah. Not gonna help.
Kush, that was ACW saying Kush has got a 3-second time penalty, but probably not help because of the gap that he's got over the Williams driver. As I say, there goes Harry Tomato, so he didn't quite catch me in the end, towards the end of that strategy. Well, yeah, that pit window, you could say. So he's goes the soft competitor tyres, and possibly he's on another set of. Oh no, he's on the mediums now. So yeah, that's probably the only tyre he hasn't run so far. I think he's run 2 sets of softs so far. As we get our 3rd time penalty of the race. So yes, clearly I have not learnt from the Tuesday night race I did around here. So yay me. Back we go here to Plebs who's putting pressure now on KD. So the softs will be probably starting to wear out a little bit more compared to the mediums. It should be pretty easy, I would think. So, and Plez now gets himself up into position 3 now onto effectively the podium. So this might be an interesting battle for the podium. Considering Plez will be on the softs later on. I think KD will have to be on the mediums. As we are going to box this lap ourselves as Changam Wow actually goes a little bit wide coming through turn 15. It looked like a bit of an error on his part through there, but just take it again nice and cautiously through here. I think we're going to be coming out in a pretty handy position, I think, from memory. We might lose a couple of spots, obviously, but we should have some fresh grip up our sleeves here, considering as we nearly put it in the wall coming into the pit lane. That was bloody lucky. That did not happen, as KD's also into the lane as well, so he's going to get off the soft competitor tyres and get onto the mediums. Meanwhile, we're going to go on to the softs, and away we go. Nice stop there from the Red Bull boys, and KD also is on the mediums, so we lose a spot there to Contrast. Might actually be pretty close here with this battle with G4 Server and Harry Tomato as we come down the front straight here. Actually just going to be just in front, just behind. Oh, a little bit close for comfort there with ourselves and Harry Tomato. It's pretty much similar to what happened with me and G4 Stray, although we didn't make contact. So, but now we could go full on beans. Is that the right word? I don't even the right saying. Full on pelt beans. I don't actually know, but we can basically go full on to the end of this race here on fresh set of soft competitor tyres. Not sure whether we'll get the fastest lap because obviously there'll be guys they'll pit for the softs and they'll be trying to get the fastest lap of the race and extra bonus point as well. So let's see if we can take advantage of this with the Harry Tomato down here on the back straight. Obviously, I think he's got DRS as well. I'm not actually 100% sure. So we might have to settle in for the time being. And we have to use a little bit of overtake there, but not really quite close enough here. So we'll have to bide our time for the time being. And just play it cautiously here. So we'll just do the similar thing what we did earlier. Lap 18, you can see just has a little bit of a slide coming out of turn 9 and 10. Have a little think about it, go down here into turn 11. But again, just think better of it. Again, probably not got the better drive out of that corner does Harry Tomato. So we'll get the DRS again, and this time we'll use a bit more overtake button here. But again, he's still got the DRS, so that's probably helping his cause a little bit here with the G4 Server not far up the road in the racing point. So he manages to hang on for the time being here. So can't really afford to be stuck behind these guys for too long. Otherwise the softs will probably start to die out a little bit. Well, let's say late for later on anyway. But yeah, just playing it cautiously through here, not trying to do anything silly as we pick up a track limits warning there over one of the corners that Max Verstappen crossed a couple of years back, 2017 I think it was, or 18, one of the two. Again, it's a little bit sideways there, but around the final corner, we'll start lap 19. Again, we've got the DRS here, so as we set our personal best actually on that lap as well. Tomato, again, not really quite close enough for G4 Server, so he's doing a pretty decent job, actually, Server, so nice job from him. But this might be our opportunity possibly to get past him here on this lap, potentially. Maybe on the back straight, not 100% sure here. Depends on what he says, run through the S's like. It's not too great, of course, we take different lines through here. I think this is actually going to be our fastest lap as well, if I'm not mistaken.
16 seconds.
So we fly through out here as we get a nice run out of that corner there. We're going to actually try and get this move done before turn 11, but obviously try and keep that get that DRS as well, which we do get the DRS, so that's going to be critical as well. In our case, to pull away from Harry Tomato here, so we're now up into P8. As you can see, he's still got the DRS, actually, still some good straight line speed there in that Alfa Romeo. As we slowly but surely close in the G4 Server, we nearly go back into the rear end of him here. Now we're going side by side here into turn 13. We should have this move done if we just push him out a little bit, which in the end he has to pretty much avoid it. Oh, not avoid it, but I mean like back out of it in the end. So now we're up into position 8. As Plez now comes in for his last stop here on the soft competitor tyres, so he can go blazing for the rest of this race. And now we're going to see if we can put a pressure here on G4 Server, who I'm not sure whether he has to pit again or not, but you can see he's losing the back end. So the might explain what his tyre wear is like at the moment, and we're going to make this easy as you like, going up the hill into turn 1. So that would be pretty simple there in the end for that move. So we're now up at the P7. I was actually hoping the server would actually hold Harry Tomato up a little bit so I could just pull away to get out of that DRS window a little bit, which we sort of are technically, but just to pull it out even more of a gap really. So we're sticking on board here because this is actually my fastest lap of the race. So through, it was a purple sector 1 there. Again, not really sure whether that's actually true or not, but now we've got a bit of fresh air to use, so hopefully our pace might be a little bit better. So we'll wait and see. Through and turn 11, one of the slowest corners on this track. Nice, easy drive off the throttle there. Up through the gears, 7th gear now. Well, we use probably DRS if we were behind the car. Now into 8th gear, using a bit more ERS. Probably should not use too much ERS actually. Probably more better for the lower gears compared to 8th gear personally. But now through into turn 13 we go. We go green in sector 2 with about 1.18 seconds quicker than our best lap on the mediums. So somebody says the fastest lap of the race. I couldn't actually quite tell who that was, but now we flow it through turn 17 and 18. And now through the penultimate corner at 19. Under that nice and wide through there. As you can see, that's both the Merc boys, I think, just up the road there. As we set our personal best that lap at a 1:33.543, so 12.8 seconds quicker. Again, it's probably not the quickest lap overall here, like I was expecting, but anyway, it probably is what it is really. As Chain Game Wells has come into the pit lane as well, and he's fitted on fresh softs, so he's probably going to go nuts towards the end of this race as well, so probably have to keep an eye out for him as well. We run very wide and pick up our 4th time penalty of the race here, so yes, definitely, clearly I have not learnt from the Pacific race on the Tuesday night before this one here. As we jump back aboard with Contrast. You just ignore what's going on with his webcam. I think it died on him once or twice. Potentially as he has a bit of a moment, I think, with his wheel. As Ian and KD go side by side, but KD just overshot the corner quite a bit actually. So he was very lucky he didn't lose a spot in the end there. As now you can see here, Contrast is going to be rounded up there by KD. I think he's going to have a look down the inside. Give each other space. Very nicely done. But he does get the job done as KD. Now, the other Merc is not too far behind, who's on fresh softs, remember. And obviously, Contrast is on, well, relatively old mediums, I think. From memory, especially this late stage race, is a little bit of contact. That probably would have put a heart-in-mouth moment for Toto Wolff if those two had come together. But thankfully, they got away with it. So they go through. Yeah, there probably will be a little bit of issues with Plev's point of view because there was a few, well, internet issues, I think, on his side of things. So there might be a few sort of lag spikes, you like to call it here. But Contrast does keep the DRS actually off KD, but I think it's probably not much use here. I think he's just going to let him go here. So a bit of a switch around at Mercedes, and yeah, it doesn't really put up much of a fight there. So of course, Plev's up into position 4 actually. I'll take that back. But it could be P3 here in a minute if he gets this move done on KD, and it probably shouldn't actually hang on to it considering penalties-wise, Plevs has got less penalty, well, not even one penalty compared to KD, who's got a penalty, or a couple of penalties actually, by the looks of things. So that puts him up onto the podium, and it might be a tough ask to catch up to ACW and Isaac Kush, but you never know throughout this race, so we'll wait and see. But now, lap 22, we finally, slowly but surely, close up to the back of Contrast, who again, I think he's starting to probably feel the wear of the medium compounded tyres. I probably have to get past him as well, considering Chain Game Wow is not too far behind me here either. So obviously he's on fresh and softs compared to me. So if I can get past him here, maybe use Contrast as a little bit of a buffer between us and Chain Game Wow, we might be able to pull away for a little bit. Might be for only a short period, but wait to see. But I knew Contrast was probably going to fight this one here as we go for a big move up the inside. And we actually make the corner and get the move done very nicely in the end. Now, to be fair, I was expecting Contrast to fight, probably not too happy.
I think lap 8.
Yeah, same as me.
Probably not too, maybe not too happy with the one from lap 1, maybe. I don't actually know, but
they're going to be well into the 80s at the end.
There's both ACW and Plevs just just double checking like what strategy not contrast Isaac Kush was doing it. We'll get back to that in a second. Contrast coming under attack from this is from Chain Game. Wow, so this was sort of helping me out a little bit here to just pull away just a fraction. You see Contrast is just fighting for position as best he can. Yeah, it gives it a little bit of a nudge there. And just managed to hang on. Gets the tighter line through there. I think he's just managing. No, maybe the soft compounded tires might have a bit more grip. Side by side to the right-hander. And I think he's going to have to let that go in the end. So that's Chain Game. Wow.
So much dirty air.
Yeah, the dirty air is probably a factor in that one as well. But
Fuck off, Trey.
Let's go.
3 4 straight actually. It just goes to annoy a little bit. Plays a little bit there. Takes the fastest lap bonus point off him there, I think. So we'll wait and see whether that gets improved or not a little bit later on there. But yeah, what they were saying is that both Plebs and ACW
And you beat it.
saying earlier is that Kush, they were wondering whether he was doing the one stop or the two stop, and I think he's doing the one stop considering I don't think he's pitted again. So they might be closing into him here, but and of course the tyre wear might start to wear out a little bit here as I think Chain Game Wow probably was going to go for a move, but probably braked a little bit too late there going into turn one. So doing a pretty decent job actually hanging on in front of him here, considering obviously we'll drop down the field obviously with the penalties. Of course, pretty similar to what happened on Tuesday actually, but we're just trying everything we can here as he to think about it. Into turn one, just to try and put me off a little bit, but we just managed to hang on for the time being, and I mean only just. That was probably a close call there if it was going to be contact, but we just managed to hang on at position 5 for the time being. It obviously will probably be not be P5 anyway, so but later on with the penalties. And let's back straight here. Going to be waiting as long as we can, maybe to use ERS or not even using ERS. And well, I mean, it was probably going to be inevitable that this was going to happen, really. So at least going to have a little bit of a battle towards the end of the race. So Chain Game Wow gets P5. Now we drop back now to P6. Now a goal here is to just try and build up a gap to where we can best place ourselves in this finish, considering we've got 12 seconds, I think, now worth of penalties. And other guys in and around us, either some of them have got no penalties. How the hell you get no penalties around here, I've got no clue. That's all. They got maybe 1 or 2 or 3 penalties. So we have to just maintain our goal for the time being. As I say that, now I've got 15 seconds worth of penalties. So yeah, that's one more than what I did in Pacific Tier. So yep, this track has really worked out well for track limits, to say the least, with me. So, but thankfully we managed to keeping in the DRS window of a Chain Game Wow. Only just though. I mean, only just. So we were just.
Come on, 4 tenths now. Fucking hell.
Yeah, he should catch him. He doesn't.
So that's ACW. I think he's closing into the back of Isaac Kush. They'll probably be starting to feel the tyre wear. No doubt, I would think. As we come around the final couple of corners here. It's going to be P6 on track, but I think it's going to be a lot more worse across the line here. I think Chain Game actually got P4 in the end, ahead of KD. We'll have a look at the final results here once everything settles itself out. I think we drop back to P8 in the end there. I don't think G4 Server will get us for P9. I'm sorry, P8, so we might hang on for position 8 in this race, which means if it didn't have the penalties, well, I mean, I think that's what everybody says, really. If it didn't have the penalties, probably could have been a hell of a lot better, but I mean, it is what it is, really. Can't really stop it, can you? Guess who? One driver of the day, once again.
Yeah, it's like his 6th driver of the day or something. It's got so many.
Has he wrapped up the award yet?
Have to be.
Yeah, at least.
So we're having a chat afterwards.
Yeah.
Surely I get driver of the day, you know? No, I'm joking. Oh, Chain Game also get penalties.
Yeah, that was what we were talking about afterwards, like Contrast having... we've lost track of how many times he's won driver of the day. I don't know, again, how he does it, but it's just madness, really. We're trying to think of ways maybe how to stop him getting driver of the day, but don't think there's much left. But in the end, ACW
21, so
does
we
win
gained
the
6
United
points on
States
them.
Grand Prix because of Isaac
That's,
Kush's
it's like
penalty
40 points or
in the
something,
end. So Kush finishes
it's really like 40,
second and,
yeah.
and Plebs
Yeah.
finishes on P3. Like I said, Chain game well on P4. KD, very nice job in the end. I think that's his best result of the season so
came
far in
fifth.
P5. Contrast in 6th. Harry Tomato is 7th. Ourselves in
That was my
P8.
first
And then G4 Server in 9th. As we're just taking a look at all the warnings there for what could have been a lot better, to be honest.
I'm
But
out, guys.
and then
Yeah.
position 10 was who was it?
Oh,
G4's
I
Dre got the final
in no man's land. He's
points paying position. And
19
then
seconds off front
couple of
two,
positions
and then
there in
had
the
it down
end.
to 13 seconds back to P4.
That was like
Racing
Daniel
my-
Ricciardo.
Racing myself.
GG boys. Yeah.
No, if I'd started further up, it wouldn't have been. fucking hell no.
If Izzat did the hards instead of mediums, you would have won.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's just one of those things, really. Like, what strategy? Maybe if he had picked hards, he probably would have got to the end. But I mean, that's what he decided to do. So anyway, but of course, the 3-second penalty did cost him in the end. So yeah, it is what it is, really. So. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that United States Grand Prix. Hopefully you did. If you did, be sure to give it a big smash on that like button. As always, you can leave your comments down below. Subscribe to my channel for plenty more RaceSpec F1 Esports content on F1 2020, plus plenty more video gaming content as well. As always, all my social media links will be down in the description. Plus, as always, I'll leave the links down below to the RaceSpec social channels. The Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, plus the YouTube and Twitch channels. And I'll leave the link down below. Fingers crossed for the Discord channel if you want to come and sign up. But again, apologies, there was no championship standings after this round because I don't think they were updated after this one anyway. So fingers crossed they updated for the next one. But yeah, until the next one, whenever that may be, it is goodbye, and I'll see you all next time.